Hey everybody, Kaysha here, and today I am here with my friend
Jennifer Guskin,
and we need your help. We are right now working on advocacy for combating human trafficking, and here's why. So we'll give you a little bit of background of our story and why we're doing what we're doing.
I was adopted as an infant by a couple who sold me throughout my childhood. I have been to Epstein Island and on multiple Lolita Express types of flights as a child. After I went public, Child Protective Services opened a substance-exposed newborn case, even though all tests came back negative, and they told me that if I wouldn't stop posting on social media, I would never see my daughter again. I started to connect how I was adopted as an infant and then sold throughout my childhood, how many other children who have been through the adoption, foster, and CPS pipelines have also been trafficked to Epstein's Elk.
And as many of you guys know already, based on the work that we do at the Karis Project, I'm an American Indian born in Canada under the Jade Treaty. My father and I were exposed in the improper contagion mitigation for the COVID pandemic in early 2020. As a result of this, I lost everything: a house, cars, corporate assets, jobs. Bank accounts were shut down in Canada, and I fled to the US as an American Indian, fully documented, and was trafficked by rogue agents in ICE and other agents in the government, and forced to live with single American men. I was even imprisoned for 7 months initially, and then trafficked throughout the states. Put on full surveillance tracking and wasn't allowed to leave the city, house, or state without permission, or work without permission. And that happened for many years, and I was on and off the streets because of that, and in and out of shelters. And that is just a small example of what many go through in this trafficking system, be it the family courts or otherwise. So that's why the Karis Project will be going to DC to speak with representatives and do live reporting. We're also going to be in contact with other families who are dealing with human trafficking, and through the CPS courts or through any other means, lesser versions of trafficking, and doing reporting on them live and otherwise. We will also be working on we ultimately want to shine light on what's going on with the trafficking here in the US. And we also want to meet with various agencies in DC, and we'll be going back and forth for training sessions and other things so that we can be better equipped to help people deal with resolving some of the issues that we're seeing. We will also be putting forth petitions in government to help people get justice, and that's something that we have been working on already so far. We have some petitions that have recently been filed in the state of Colorado, Michigan, Texas, and Arizona, and we will be continuing.
But we can't do this on our own. We will be traveling to events and training courses, as well as DC on a consistent basis. We also have to get acceptable equipment, such as computers, cameras, interview gear, etc. There will be other miscellaneous costs that would also be like gas, food, and rooms if necessary.
So that is why we are working towards combating human trafficking, and that is exactly why we need your help. We cannot do this alone, and most what the Karis Project does is on its own dime. And so we do love and appreciate each and every one of you that support us and all the work that we do. As many of you know, we also live stream on Lindell TV every day. And everything we do, like I said, is on our own dime. So we appreciate all the love and support and all the people who do donate. And we would very much love and appreciate that still. Thank you everybody for your time and considerations. And thank you for all the support. And we will catch you guys in the next one, and hopefully we might see you guys in the future and come across you and maybe be able to do some great things together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Karis Project podcast. We are going to be discussing a number of issues that we see coming from, I guess, the red pill perspective, looking at some of the issues with, some of the trauma that people have gone through as youth, various clips about that and some of this incel stuff. So this is going to be very interesting. And I guess the black pill stuff, I guess, which is tied to the incel stuff. But kind of, what do you got to say, Kaysha?
Speaking of trauma, hey y'all, what's good in the proverbial hood? Speaking of trauma, we've lost a soldier, guys. Here you will see a chunk of my tooth that broke off today. Take care of your health, guys. Even if you're stressed, do your best to. You'll lose soldiers out here from stress. Anyway, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what this nonsense with the red pill or incel stuff is going on, because it's pretty hopeless. It is an abyss. It's a black abyss. It's a black hole. It will suck you in because there's no solutions. It's just like a revolving door of like resentment and anger and guilt and shame and like, just a boatload of nonsense. And there's no solutions at all. And yeah, that just needs to stop. That's why when people are like, oh, are you this or are you that? Nah, bro, I'm Christian. I'm a Christian. God has a solution to everything. And that's what we're going to give you today. So let's get it.
Yeah, so we're going to look at this one clip. When I saw this, I'm not going to lie, I was disturbed when I saw this. So, I mean, we're going to listen to this. What was her name? Was Eva Angelina, I think. Yeah, something like that. But anyway, let's just roll to it.
So, Eva, tell me a little bit about your story. What is it that you want to share with our audience? What's your story? What's the Eva story?
Well, it's a pretty interesting, complicated, but hopefully inspirational story. I actually got into real estate by accident. I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and loved it. Wanted to make a difference in the world. Got my college degree because honestly, it was very important at the time. It was like everybody has to go to college, right? So being the first Latina in my family to graduate high school, I thought, well, how am I going to go to college? I had a lot of challenges, especially because I was a teen mom at 16.
Wow.
So my opportunities seemed very, very few. I didn't want to be part of the statistic. So thankfully, I had amazing mentors and people around me that supported me. Was able to get a scholarship, go to college. And at that time, I thought I really wanted to be an attorney.
Oh,
really? I
really?
Be an attorney.
Wow.
And honestly, it just sounded.
I could see that. I could totally see that.
I just wanted to be an attorney. And I think somebody said, back when I was in school, it was like doctors, attorneys, nurses, like they sounded really important. And back then, unfortunately, even though this was, like in the 80s, 90s, I still didn't see a lot of Latinos in my area that were like influential Latinos.
Okay.
So I would see a lot of people around me and I go, well, what could I be that's important? And I really wanted to make a change in my life. So anyway, long story short, I went to school, majored in history, minored in English, really wanted to go to law school, and realized that at the time I was like a teacher's assistant.
Okay.
Well, as I got through college, and I really, really enjoyed kids.
Oh, interesting.
So I thought maybe I could teach while I go to law school because I needed to make an income. And then, you know what? I fell in love with teaching.
Oh, really?
Yes, I fell in love with teaching. So I became a high school teacher at a local inner city high school. Loved it in LA.
In LA, okay.
Yeah, I worked for Los Angeles Unified District for a few years. And then I went through a major life change after my 5th year of teaching. My broker, I had bought a property, and my broker that was a Hispanic agent said, have you ever thought about real estate? He was helping me sell my condo in LA.
Oh.
And I go, no, never. I want to be around kids. They actually listen to me. Yeah. I stayed away from
buyers
business.
And sellers, right?
Yeah, I just thought sales and business was not for me. I really did not. Teaching felt safe. At that time, I was teaching high school kids. I loved my high school kids. I said, I love it. I'm making a difference. I didn't want to feel uncomfortable. But he said, why don't you come shadow and see what we do? He was a top producing agent in the Valley, big team.
Okay.
And I said, just come and see it. I need a buyer's agent.
and maybe this is good for you. And I go,
Wow.
okay. And literally, as he had offered me that opportunity, I'm going through a major life change where I have to make more income.
Oh,
I
really?
really have to
Okay.
make more income.
Why do you mention
I was
this?
going through a divorce. And because of my circumstances growing up in LA, being a teen mom, I was married at a very early age. I was married at 13 and a half years old with an older
Wow.
person. Yes.
Wow.
It was very, very, it was kind of arranged.
Yeah.
And it was very, at that age, you just don't know what's out there.
What's happening. Yeah.
So
And that,
unfortunately,
do you think that had like a large impact on the rest of it? Yeah.
Totally. Had a very, very hard upbringing. Had to leave my home at around 13, 14 and a half years old, with an older man. Was married for a very long time, but I had really good people around me to kind of lift me up and tell me that there was more in life than just what I was living. So I didn't really go to college because I knew education was my saving grace. Like I really wanted to be a better person, but it was people around me that kept pushing me to do it, because at that time, being married at that age, it's just kind of weird. Like in LA, it was like, what? You're married? What? I would go to like school and people would like, you're married? What?
Yeah.
It was just a very interesting upbringing.
Yeah.
Especially in LA, because we're so, it's not common here.
It's not common, totally.
It's not really common, but you know what I mean?
It's common. Like my grandmother got married at like 14 or something like that, right? But that was in Mexico in a small little village, So I could only imagine. And by the way, listeners, that's we're very close to the airport, so that's going to be airplanes flying just overhead. Just a heads up.
Yeah.
But that's. I could only imagine the impact that had on your life.
Totally.
Being in LA and being married and how that really played a big role, right?
Yeah. Married at 13 and a half. That's absolutely, that's insane. Nobody should be married at 13. Like, and when she said older man, I was like, how old? That's my first question, because if you're over the age of 18, you're a criminal. Even at 17, I would never touch a 13-year-old. Never. Never. That's that's
That's insane. She's talking about it like it wasn't abuse. That's crazy to me. That's what's crazy.
Yes. I yeah. I don't even know what to say. What do you say about that?
That's what I said. She's talking about it like it's not abuse. That's crazy. There's really nothing more to say. I don't know what else to say. Like, that's like, what the hell do you say to something like that? Like, why does she not understand? Like, I don't know. I don't
I
know. I don't know. I
I
don't know.
I think that seeing that she glossed over that she had a hard upbringing, when you sit down and say that you had to leave home at 13 or 14 and a half, and you got married to an older person, that probably I just, there's a lot of questions that are raised in my mind, because if you feel that
Exactly. I don't have enough information
to get, but that just like, yeah. Anyway,
the only information I understand is that it was abuse, because I don't know all the other details. It's like, all I know is that's clearly abuse.
That's exactly it. Like, and then the one guy said that his grandmother in Mexico got married at 14. I was like,
and the guy talking to her like it's not, like it's, when she was like, oh, it's not normal. He's like, yeah, she never says not normal. She says it's not common. He's like, yeah, it's not common. My grandma got married at 14. Bro, why are you not sitting there like you were abused? Why are you not telling her like that's abuse? Like, what? This is like, whatever. Anyway.
I just, yeah, that's, yeah. Anyway, we'll continue. When I saw that, it was just, it was something that we really can't, kind of, so we're going to go in and bring into this. Let's go. Oh, let's go here. Since we're going to go into the incel topic, we'll bring this up. Open it up. Oh, whoa, there you go. So we've been going on this red pill and so forth stuff, and this whole drive with the younger girls and stuff is nuts. Absolutely nuts. But anyway, let's go back over the incel topic now.
The US is definitely consuming more adult content at a toxic level. We have more incels in our country than other countries.
Mm-hmm.
The incels in other countries actually do something about it, and they go and they fight in the war and kill people. I salute that. Like, go and do something, and also they potentially get killed. In the US, the incels just stalk girls and ruin people's lives. That's all they do here. And the biggest common denominator is the obsessive hours they clock daily watching porn. I fucking love sweets, but I'm not a fat ass, am I? Because I don't eat sweets every day because I'm not a fucking idiot. And guys will come to me like, it's your fault, you put it up. I'm like, bro, have a regulator. You watching 4 hours a day, 7 days a week is a fucking problem. You still being a virgin at 28 and not sliding into a real vagina, that's on you, bro. 99% of the followers on OnlyFans are fucking incels and are virgin.
The shoe fits. The violin.
She very, very much has a disdain for this.
Well, it's disgusting. I'm not gonna lie.
It is.
Those type of men are really a sight to behold.
Yes, but they're not born that way.
No, but it makes me want to vomit.
Yes, it does. And let's start getting into some of these clips here talking about the incels. This is just the intro from some people that did a little study on incels. So we're going to go through this today.
We've been investigating the hidden online world of incels.
I have not interacted with a female that is not related to me in over 3 years.
They're mostly young men, usually virgins, who can't find a romantic or sexual partner.
I must become more attractive. It's my last chance.
But on the extreme end, some incels are becoming more menacing.
There was quite a few women that I did want to break their nose so they would be ugly.
Where staunch incels blame women and attractive men for the reason why they're not in a relationship.
Around 60 terror attacks that can be linked to incel actors.
We wanted to know who these incels were, what they believed in, and just how extreme it could get. In this 2-part investigation, we gain access to a world that is usually closed off, especially to women.
So, yeah. So you get a little bit of an idea of this whole thing that they're doing. And they're looking at it, and we're going to kind of examine it because there are some serious issues going on with this whole idea of this coming in there. And I never watched that clip that she was talking about the incels. I didn't realize she cursed that much. But, I mean, obviously you can see the disgust and so forth. But there's a lot more to this than most people realize, or a lot of people are looking at. Let's pull up the next clip.
We're on our way to meet 5 incels who we've been chatting to online for about a month now. They usually chat to each other in forums and in servers, but today they're meeting up. And they're letting us join. One of them, who we'll call Tom, is well known in the community for building a server, which is kind of like an online chat room. He's agreed to meet us first at a hotel.
There is most likely not a single female on the planet that would be willing to date me.
How do you define what an incel is?
An incel is someone who is unable to get into a romantic relationship.
He's nervous to be on camera. and has brought a mask with him to protect his identity.
Being an incel has become quite sensationalist. I am worried that openly identifying as such in public might affect job prospects.
What do you think when you see a woman on the street?
I don't feel like I live in the same society as her. I think that every woman who encounters me on the street is inherently disgusted by me. I'm physically unattractive. I'm visibly autistic. And I have no experience speaking to females.
Tom casually browsed forums a few years ago in high school. Now he feels so connected to the incel philosophy that he built his own chat room.
Sometimes incels can say some edgy statements.
Can you give examples?
An edgy statement would be something like, I hate all women, all women, every woman is evil. Sometimes a small minority of users, when they're lashing out in anger, might make jokes about sexual violence. I wouldn't paint the server as something too serious. A lot of this is just people just having like fun social interaction, fun banter.
In the 20 minutes we spent looking at the chat, we saw Nazi symbols, racial slurs, and unsurprisingly, hate towards women.
This is an example of an incel and a female beefing with each other. Mm-hmm. The female said, y'all are boring, and this incel responded in anger.
You want to read the message?
No.
Wow, he didn't even want to read the message. Honestly, oh, you want to say something first? Your mic is off, but honestly, this disgusts me. This makes me want to vomit. First of all, their levels of their inability to be rational or have critical thinking. Do you know how they behave? They behave like the traffic victims of women who think that no one will ever love them ever again, or women who have been abused. And now they think that no one will ever love them and they're too worthless or their problems are too hard. They sound like literally how I used to think when I was like, oh, my life is too difficult. No man wants to like deal with this because it's too scary. And everyone says that what we're dealing with is too serious, but they're all a bunch of pansies. That's how women think when they're scared, they're sad, they're afraid that they're going to be alone. They're behaving like women. They hate women because they're acting like them. They don't know how to act like men. And I don't know how for them to do that. But I don't even talk about men the way these men talk about women. And I have been trafficked. I have been trafficked as a child and again as an adult. Was trafficked in the foster care system. I don't even hate men the way that these people hate women. This doesn't make sense to me. But I don't understand this level of irrationality.
Remember, there's a level of grooming going on inside of the schools, right? And the breaking down of the ability for people to do things, the natural challenges that men would go through, they're taking those away. And women, they're just taking away and everybody gets a prize from showing up. So you're not going through any adversity, right? And then now we're going to kind of bring back another clip. Let's get that here. But we're going to see how this whole thing is kind of all going back together, right? So this is...
they're weak.
What?
You said they're weak.
Yes, they are weak, but it wasn't like they...
Disgusting.
Yes. And when you look at the guy that said there, he's visually...
8 billion people on the planet, one girl on the planet would sleep with you. At least, very least one, more than one would.
Yes, but remember the guy said he's visually autistic. Like, people can tell that he's autistic, and there's autism rates on the rise. Autism affects...
Do you know that there's Down syndrome people who are, like, having relationships and sleeping around?
Just... Hold on. I get this, but there's a reason for this. Autism is affecting boys more than girls, and there's an exponential rise in autism coming around now, right? That started like not long before this, right? And so then then Lisa Ann talked about the pornography, but then we'll bring back a clip of her talking on the pornography just to refresh people's memories.
Do you think that porn encourages human trafficking? I do. I think porn has, since the internet, has had a lot of negative effects. I mean, there's the couples that I meet on the road that come in that enjoy my movies, and there's that where I'm like, oh, that's so wonderful. But that might be a 5 to a 10%.
Yeah.
I think it's changed the reality for young men because it is so accessible, and because the scenarios that Brazzers has us do is so believable that in their weird minds, because they've been watching so young and there hasn't been any sneak to it, they haven't been forced to realize that they aren't 18, they shouldn't be watching, and all they have to do is click the box that says they are.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what I think that's done is I think it's really affected the sexual history of these young people. And I think older men, Epstein, is a great example of this. And now we're going to watch this case unfollow. People with money are doing these things.
Yeah.
And then young people are confused by these things. Mm-hmm. And what I've learned from young women that I'm mentoring in my travels that aren't involved in the industry is I'm realizing that young people are having less sex than ever. And young girls have been shied off from 1 or 2 experiences that they felt were violent and that I explained to them just came from porn.
Yeah.
The choking, the smacking,
hair
the
pulling.
spitting.
Yeah.
That's not, and for a young girl who's 16, that's what the 16-year-old boy has been watching. So the first time he has sex with her, he chokes her and she doesn't know why.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know what to do about it. And so they're having either sex with girls or they're not having sex at all.
Yeah.
And so I think what we've allowed our kids to watch and what we've failed here in LA because it's what we produce.
Right.
We failed.
So now you're getting kids watching porn at a young age. Some of these are these guys here, and they're becoming more violent. They're seeing this kind of stuff, and they want this kind of stuff. So they're starting to get angry about this kind of stuff that's going on. Let's go and take a commercial break here, and then we'll bring back another clip on the other side.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
So for anybody who wants any of the MyPillow products, go to mypillow.com/Karis or call 800-845-2942. Use the promo code Karis. Those are ways you can support. You see the donor box. There's a Give, Send, Go. If you're watching on Facebook, Rumble, or BitChute, there are other links in the description that have other ways you can support with other products as well. And so we're gonna get kind of right back into it. I'm gonna pull up another clip of this young man talking a little bit more here.
This server has been taken down around 10 times, but those takedowns have not really had a dent on its popularity.
It's hard to know how many incels exist, especially when they connect in private servers like this one. On the most popular forum, there are millions of visits each year. By some estimates, at the very least, there are thousands of dedicated members worldwide.
I do blame women to a significant extent for why we have so many men single, depressed, lonely. There may be definitely elements of misogyny in the community. It's only reactive to being unable to get with females. It would probably dissipate if a female showed interest in them. What board are you browsing? G.
We later catch up with the rest of the group in the park.
Hello? Good. Hello, female.
They're in their late teens and early 20s. Most of them haven't given us their real names. After a month of speaking online, they've agreed to meet with us in person to explain a bit more about who they are. They agree to chat over lunch on the condition that their faces are blurred. Is anyone here dating?
No.
No. Definitely. I wouldn't be here. No.
If you're dating, then you're not an incel. So.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's that hard line?
If you can date, chances are you can have sex.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make you an incel.
Like if you're talking about going on dates, I think you can go on dates and be incel.
I'm more hardline in my definition.
Some allude to a common incel belief. They call it the black pill. It's the idea that women will only ever go for physically attractive men, that they've lost the genetic lottery, and their situation is hopeless.
Do your parents know that you're an incel?
No. My dad's like asked me when am I going to get a girlfriend or whatever. I feel like my mum knows I'm a loser.
Are you all at uni at the moment?
No, I'm working.
No, I'm at uni.
I'm studying, kind of, yeah.
It's mostly just STEM subjects.
Yeah, no incel's doing like social work or something.
And why do you think it's those kind of jobs?
You don't have to talk to people, you can just focus on ideas and stuff.
Yeah, I said I haven't spoken to an IRL void in 3 years. And that's partially because I do a STEM degree. Like, I've never been paired with a female. Thank If I did, I'd probably just walk out.
Do you remember what that woman said the other day about how women are only going to respect a man who's attractive, and if an unattractive man speaks to her, she'll say, shut the F up, blah, blah, blah. Remember that? And if her husband even done something she doesn't appreciate, she'll say, shut the F up. Who do you think you... She is the cause of men like this.
Yes, they're helping definitely to create it. That attitude, absolutely.
That makes me more angry.
Yes.
Sick.
Yes. It's yes, it is. And so we know that.
I couldn't see
what?
My face. I said I couldn't see a woman like that in my face. I would need to pray to God for a lot of patience.
Well, yes, and we're going to bring back, because Lisa had talked about what the effect of the porn was on the boys when they were becoming more violent and more aggressive. Well, then let's listen to what this woman says again.
Things a little bit more.
Right. But as we know, what we see in pornography online can be extreme. Is not normal.
It depends what type of pornography you're watching. That's what I would say.
Okay. When you look back and reflect on the fact that you had access to this pornography and were looking at it from the age of 11, and not just you, any Gen Z who's got a smartphone, does that suggest to you that maybe your generation has been let down by politicians or the tech companies or even parents?
I think it's hard because sex is a part of life, and I don't.
But not when you're 11.
Well, I think you should be learning from it from that age. I do believe that, because that's when you start to think about things like that.
But learning,
maybe not
via
learning
pornography.
Yeah, maybe not learning from pornography, but I do think understanding it more from that age would be helpful.
Is there a direct link between you watching pornography as you grew up and the decisions you've made to do what you do now?
I think maybe. I mean, I don't know a life without pornography.
I don't know a life without pornography is crazy.
Yes. And she's doing things that are very, very unhinged, and she's extremely hypersexual, and she's doing things that are far more provocative and degrading. She's doing it for money. And the boundaries erased in her mind. And and remember that she's going and getting the younger, her and like people like Bonnie Blue, they're grooming the younger ones, younger boys that are watching the pornography and seeing the stuff that they're doing. And it's just going to continue to fuel this type of behavior, right? You're seeing it isn't just coming from one side, right? This is not a one-way problem, right?
Yeah, honestly, I hate to be like that, but everyone is so weak, and I'm at the point where I'm just disgusted. I'm so disgusted with the level of weakness with the men and women in society today. disturbing on levels that cannot even be explained or articulated well within any language that I know. Like, I'm just like, really? Like, seriously? Like, I mean, I understand. And I had this conversation with someone today where we were talking about, oh, people, different backgrounds they come from, and they're like, oh, well, what if, a 16-year-old, grew up in a bad environment? What if they raped somebody and, because of their background? I was like, yeah, at what point do we just, why do we always have to look at the point of view of the abuser? Like, kids are one thing because you have to investigate and find out what's gone on. And she said she had this happen since she was 11, even though she doesn't understand that it was abuse. That's crazy. But at a certain point, you have to stop looking for, understanding the why is good because we can prevent the future. But that person right there, that person who's making very deliberate steps, and they're like, oh, well, what if the person is sick? What if they're sick in the head? Okay, someone is sick by their level of premeditation and deliberation, their thought out process and the steps in which they took to get there. And once you decipher that person has gone that far to do what they're doing in the manner in which they're doing it, I'm sorry. At that point, you got to stop feeling sorry for the abuser and feel bad for the victims. And what's going on here is unhinged on levels. This is reaching new levels of unhinged that I've not seen.
The one thing is that, like, I understand the frustration, like, for example, Lisanne had with the incel, because it's a big risk. But the other thing is like she talked about before, pornography wasn't as accessible when she got into it in the 90s. You had to go in and look at stuff and go in physically to the places. But that's not the case. You're getting young people that are kids that are like a 9-year-old child watching pornography from the age of 9 to the time they're 18. They're finished. Their brain is finished. Like, you created an addiction because a child is a severe compulsion, whatever you want to call it. They're not going to be able to regulate themselves on something that they don't have the capacity to understand. And it's going to do bad things to their brain. I'm not sitting down and saying what they're doing is acceptable. The people who are putting the pornography in the hands of the children are helping to create this. And this was coming up from a lot of the larger companies, like, for example, Pornhub, that had like 90% of the market share for the pornography. They were like a cartel, right? A monopoly, and they began to drive pornography to younger people, right? And then what happens? It gets in the hands of kids. Kids can't handle that stuff. There's a reason why you don't sexualize children, right? Because even she ended up going into the adult industry, and I'm sure that a lot of the stuff that happened in her background was something that happened like that, because you shouldn't be putting a child that's 13 and a half to get married. No, that it's
insane.
And then she's a teen mom at 16. Like, no. I mean,
it's crazy.
I feel so. I don't know what the details are, but I mean, I know that should have not happened, right?
There's no scenario in which that's okay.
No,
they must sold their child or something for her to be married at 13. Like,
I don't know what the case is, but I just know that it's wrong.
Whatever it is,
that's wrong. Like, and I guess when you live with it, you just have to come to terms with it. But it should have never happened, because it does impact people's lives, right? And so we're going to come in here and we're going to bring up another clip here from this incel thing here.
I wanted to know what direction the incel movement was headed in. So I sat down with a researcher who spent 18 months looking at the largest incel forum on the internet.
We gathered over 1 million posts from just over a year of activity on the forum.
He found the number of visits were growing slowly and posts were getting more extreme. We asked him to read some out.
So this one is called Women Peak at 12. Who in their right mind would prefer a 22-year-old roastie to this? And they've got an image of a 12-year-old child. National Socialist Germany was the best country for incels. Women are designed to be raped. Males have a sufficient strength advantage, and this was probably our main method of procreating. It's all designed to make women seem like they're subhuman.
In the most popular forum, about half of its members are Americans and Brits, but there are also Australians in there too. The group we've spoken to have never expressed any of these thoughts to us. Callum says that people who end up in these spaces tend to be unemployed, have mental health vulnerabilities, and are insecure about their looks.
Many users claim to be neurodivergent. Unfortunately, the answers they're getting are that women are to blame for all this, and it just sort of breeds this toxic, violent rage towards women that's really dangerous.
I said thoughts. Sorry, I was talking to myself.
Again, I don't have sympathy. I don't have sympathy for like these people. I have been through so much hell and so much trauma, and I still am confident in what I'm capable of doing. I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, I know what I have to work on. I'm sitting here working to the bone, losing soldiers, little teeth, losing literal teeth. And like, you know what? Gotta keep going. You know, like I just I deal with so much stuff every day. Like I have to deal with the stress of the work that we're doing, flashbacks, night terrors. I've been waking up in the middle of the night having terrors, physically shaking, my body physically shaking from feeling like I'm going to collapse. I've been losing my vision in the last couple of weeks and literally passing out. And I don't think this way because everything I've been through, and I can feel my body shutting down. Like it's just, you know, it's just life. You keep going until the end. But I don't understand. Like I don't sit down and be like, all men are evil. All men are like disgusting. All men are like rapists, or all men are. I don't do that. I can't understand this weak level subhuman type mentality. Like this stuff makes me want to throw up. Because I'm like, I have gone through hell and back, and I'm sitting here like, yeah, there's still greatness in life. There's still great people, and there's a chance for me to have a family and serve God with this man and raise soldiers for the kingdom and go to heaven and be peaceful for all eternity and, you know, save humanity in some way or the other. Obviously, evil will always persist, but you know what I'm saying? I will help be peaceful, like the world be more peaceful. I don't know how these men who create circumstances. I don't create circumstances. I don't know how to like do all the chess, the 5D chess, but I can submit to an amazing man that will do that, and I will. But the thing is, how do these men not be like, how do I create the circumstances for this? It's not like it's not even like I'm super tall, like super skinny, like supermodel, you know, type person or whatever. I'm just an average everyday person. But it's like, I know what my skills are. I know what I'm good at. Why can't these guys rationally think as men, this is what I'm capable of doing. This is how I can be an asset to somebody. Let me capitalize on what I'm good at. Like, and get something that way. Like, you don't have any reason to complain. Like, why are you complaining? Like, women complain.
But remember that again, a lot of this is the environment they've been put in to take away the natural challenge. This is why when I tell people, I said men are not like women, and they're like, oh no, they want to traumatize. I'm like, listen, man, the guy needs to go through some hard stuff. He might get hurt, but he's gonna learn. Right? There wasn't the same kind of problem when I was a kid. It was not to this magnitude because they took, yeah, there was some weak kids, but whatever. Like I remember a kid, he was getting beat up. His dad's like, he ain't coming to his house. So you get up and fight, right? He was like, you're not gonna, like, you might get beat up, but you better stand up for yourself, right? So they put them in challenges where they have to go through adversity, where this is getting taken away. The autism rates are going up, right? This is coming from all this kind of stuff that they're injecting in the children, and it's rising at an exponential rate as they're flooding pornography in there And then you're getting this messaging, like the guy said, I lost the genetic lottery. I'm ugly. I have no chance of getting a woman, right? And then let's bring back a clip here.
Well,
go ahead.
What you're telling me is, when I have a son, I'm going to make his life as difficult as possible. He will have the most difficult life on purpose. I will make sure that his life growing up is absolute hell in a handbasket as much as possible without pushing the line of evil, just so that he can actually be capable by the time he's an adult. I refuse to give my son an easy life.
You need to have a man to do that. You need to have a man to do that.
Yes.
Yes.
But I will not. This is why I've been saying that women, the Bible is very clear. Women are not meant to love men. They need to respect them. Women are meant, the Bible calls women to respect men. My son will get respect. My husband will get respect, and he will have a very difficult childhood as much as possible. I refuse to have incel children.
Well, listen.
To give up and weaken
let's bring this back here so that we can hear what this woman was saying about what drives a woman's sexual desire.
If being with a man that you can control activates your mother instincts, what activates a woman's sexual instincts?
Being with a man that removes her fears. And what I mean by that is physical fears, like you're scared of other people, whatever, if that exists, financial fears, emotional fears. When you're with a man that removes fears and replaces it with safety and connection and, mutual respect, then what happens is it activates your sexual desires. You can only, like your mum says, you can only orgasm when you trust. So when he takes away your fears, you can develop trust.
You might wrangle this into fears, but I believe very strongly that there's one more piece of the equation if you really want to activate a woman sexually.
Yeah.
And that is you have to make her feel beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I really agree. I genuinely think that a lot of women, when they deny men sex, it's really because they haven't felt beautiful in so long. So they think that if you don't find me beautiful, what is the point? Women, again, I know I keep using the word narcissistic when it comes to women, but our sexual experience is narcissistic. How much we enjoy it is entirely based with how you make us feel, how beautiful and loved you make us feel. And this is one of the reasons why I know I keep going back to pornography. I encourage men never to watch pornography when they're growing up, when they're young, because what happens is they develop a dysfunction, erectile dysfunction, and when a remote woman doesn't feel attractive, she can never desire you again. If a man can't keep his erection in the first couple of times, if they haven't established safety and they haven't got their loving relationship, but first couple of times he can't keep an erection, that woman cannot sexually desire you again, because you make her feel so ugly in that moment, even though it's got nothing to do with you. Even though it might have nothing to do, the man's like inability to perform may have nothing to do with me, but women take it so personal, and they'll never desire him again, ever. Whereas another man who makes her feel like the most, like a goddess, she will desire him again and again. So it's in your best interest to not worry about what move or what angle or whatever. Just stroke her ego in that moment.
This woman is nurturing her manipulation, and she's saying that women's sexual desires are all narcissistic, but then telling them to feed her ego instead of actually bonding with her on a mental and emotional level. Like, a lot of counselors will tell you that intimacy doesn't start in the moment itself. It starts in the morning, in the mind, in the interactions that you have with your spouse throughout the day. Because if you maintain that positive connectivity with your spouse, then when you get to the actual interaction, your mind, your body, and your emotions have prepared for the anticipation of that interaction. What she's saying is true in part, where it comes down to, okay, well, if a woman feels unattractive, she's going to feel like she cannot perform. That's not narcissistic. That's her feeling like she cannot meet your needs as a spouse, feeling incapable, and then being worried that she might be replaced because she can't fill your desires. That is a woman's desire to please her spouse and worrying about failure to perform. That's not narcissism. The part where she was like, oh, well, she can only enjoy herself if you're pleasing her. This woman is like I can't believe that she's saying this with her chest, all these things with her chest, like the way that she's doing this.
Yes, because what she's actually telling people to do, and there are fools that are going to listen to her, is to go ahead.
The way the guy was
is
crazy.
to go ahead and make more narcissistic women. That's the last thing you want.
Feed their ego.
Oh yes, because when their egos are fed and they're on their high horse and you're not good enough, they will treat you like a dog.
Yes, because now it's giving her, it's saying that she's narcissistic, but and she's trying to blame you for the problem, but also feed her ego so she can stomp on you while she already feels bad for something that has nothing to do with her. And it's actually something that you need help and support with. It's like,
if you're feeding someone's ego, you're doing it wrong. I don't care what anybody says.
You should never have to do that.
Somebody says, feed my ego, I'm like, goodbye. Right?
And then she's telling a man how to solve problems with, like, that's not how, like, that's just not how that works.
There's this whole idea that they know more, that that people are more alike and so forth. Men and women are completely different, and men do things differently. And the stuff that she's saying, just straight dangerous. But young men that are hearing this, they're getting this messaging that, oh well, if I don't do this and I don't do this, I can't measure up, or if I have issues, I can't measure up, and everything else like that. But the isolation that's going on with these younger men are helping to destroy them. Like, this is not done. This is not an accident. This is not just.
Did you hear?
What? Go ahead.
Sorry. Finish. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Did you hear when she said, because we heard this we played this clip a couple times, and she said, like, your mom says you can only orgasm when you trust. I'm like, whose mom told them that? And why? Like, why was that just slid in like that? Did you see that, how that portion of how that was just slid in the middle of all of that nonsense that she said?
Yes.
That was really disturbing. That was very disturbing.
Yes. But you're doing things that's going to help break your trust. This is not how you build trust in a relation. It's not. What she's doing here is
that's manipulation.
It's going to it might make you feel good in the moment, but you're gonna win the battle to lose the war. And this is what's happening. You want to get that immediate gratification, and you're sacrificing your long-term future for it. This is where we're having so many problems. Anyway, I mean, we're running up on time on this. We need to go in and continue this on the other side, because this is something that is a big problem, and there is a ton of factors that are affecting this. It's not just as simple as pornography. It's not. There is a lot more to this. I'm going to close here with a prayer. Lord knows we need a lot of prayer on this situation. And yeah, we'll come back on the other side. I'll give you final thoughts. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you've given us this day. Open our hearts and our minds to your will. And, oh Father, this day I ask of you in the name of Jesus to help the men and the women to come together, and that the men would humble ourselves before God, and that we would lead our families to rebuild them, to rebuild the churches, the community, and our nation, that we can have some protection for the children and help to correct this wickedness that's been going on, is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thanks, Dad, for the prayer as always. Yeah, I'm sorry. The lot of you doing this nonsense are weak, and it's just unacceptable. I don't feel sorry for any of you in this situation. I'm sorry to put it bluntly, plain and simple. You need to do better. You need to fix yourself. Get over it. Get over yourself. Do the work. Make yourself better. And just get the results that you want. Anyways, we'll catch you guys in the next one on the other side. And to my dearest Karis, until we meet again, my friend, and we will ciao. Hey everybody, Kaysha here, and today I am here with my friend
Jennifer Guskin,
and we need your help. We are right now working on advocacy for combating human trafficking, and here's why. So we'll give you a little bit of background of our story and why we're doing what we're doing.
I was adopted as an infant by a couple who sold me throughout my childhood. I have been to Epstein Island and on multiple Lolita Express types of flights as a child. After I went public, Child Protective Services opened a substance-exposed newborn case, even though all tests came back negative, and they told me that if I wouldn't stop posting on social media, I would never see my daughter again. I started to connect how I was adopted as an infant and then sold throughout my childhood, how many other children who have been through the adoption, foster, and CPS pipelines have also been trafficked to Epstein's Elk.
And as many of you guys know already, based on the work that we do at the Karis Project, I'm an American Indian born in Canada under the Jade Treaty. My father and I were exposed in the improper contagion mitigation for the COVID pandemic in early 2020. As a result of this, I lost everything: a house, cars, corporate assets, jobs. Bank accounts were shut down in Canada, and I fled to the US as an American Indian, fully documented, and was trafficked by rogue agents in ICE and other agents in the government, and forced to live with single American men. I was even imprisoned for 7 months initially, and then trafficked throughout the states. Put on full surveillance tracking and wasn't allowed to leave the city house or state without permission or work without permission. And that happened for many years, and I was on and off the streets because of that, and in and out of shelters. And that is just a small example of what many go through in this trafficking system, be it the family courts or otherwise. So that's why the Karis Project will be going to DC to speak with representatives and do live reporting. We're also going to be in contact with other families who are dealing with human trafficking, and through the CPS courts or through any other means, lesser versions of trafficking, and doing reporting on them live and otherwise. We will also be working on, we ultimately want to shine light on what's going on with the trafficking here in the US. And we also want to meet with various agencies in DC, and we'll be going back and forth for training sessions and other things so that we can be better equipped to help people deal with resolving some of the issues that we're seeing. We will also be putting forth petitions in government to help people get justice, and that's something that we have been working on already so far. We have some petitions that have recently been filed in the state of Colorado, Michigan, Texas, and Arizona, and we will be continuing.
But we can't do this on our own. We will be traveling to events and training courses, as well as DC on a consistent basis. We also have to get acceptable equipment, such as computers, cameras, interview gear, etc. There'll be other miscellaneous costs that would also be like gas, food, and rooms if necessary.
So that is why we are working towards combating human trafficking, and that is exactly why we need your help. We cannot do this alone, and most what the Karis Project does is on its own dime. And so we do love and appreciate each and every one of you that support us and all the work that we do. As many of you know, we also live stream on Lindell TV every day. And everything we do, like I said, is on our own dime. So we appreciate all the love and support and all the people who do donate. And we would very much love and appreciate that still. Thank you everybody for your time and considerations, and thank you for all the support, and we will catch you guys in the next one, and hopefully we might see you guys in the future and come across you and maybe be able to do some great things together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Karis Project podcast. We are back again to talk more about this whole incel issue. And I mean, this is a big problem. So, Kaysha, you want to kind of ease us into this?
Yeah, it would seem that you incels, the lot of you, are terrorizing the country. And we're going to discuss some of the problem and solutions that's been going on with that. So I guess we'll get into it.
Yes, and this was a clip that we looked at this. I don't even know her name. I just saw it. She never said her name in any of the stuff. But this is what she's talking about, the issue with the lack of touch.
And once I started actually practicing massage as a career, I realized how much we are lacking this in our society and how underappreciated it is, like under prioritized. It's kind of a luxury in our culture. It's not a luxury in other cultures. In fact, when you go to Thailand, if you get a massage, it's super cheap, so cheap because locals get it every day. They get body work. It's part of their culture. And here in the States, it is rather expensive, and you can only really get weekly massage if you have like a pretty substantial disposable income. But it is such a gift. So let's get into it. We evolved to be touched. Humans are biologically wired for physical closeness.
So she acknowledges that people are biologically wired for touch, right? She was talking about massage therapy, but we're social beings. What we're seeing is a deconstruction of our normal social nature, that we would have normal social interactions. And COVID just put this in the mega overdrive. The autism rates were spiking, like the guy was sitting down there, where they have the awkwardness. The people who are not neurodivergent generally have a harder time integrating to begin with, but they created more isolation. And then with that more isolation, people are spending more time on their devices than even before. So if you're isolated, spending more time on your devices, they're making it very easy for the porn to come pop up in the video games when you're a little kid and you're sitting there traumatized, and you see a set of something and you start getting excited, then you're hooked in. Right? This is problematic. Very problematic. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking though, a lot of girls are neurodivergent too. Though, like, which, it's not like there's not a, it's not like the men are the only ones that are becoming autistic. There's a lot of female autists as well, and they go more undiagnosed than men because they're more naturally reserved.
Yes, but the rates between boys and girls that are autistic, it's not even close. It's like a large.
Why that is?
What?
I said I wonder why that is.
Well, and a lot of it's artificially induced because the number of it used to be like 1 in 5,000. Now it's like what going between 1 in 36 and 1 in 24. Like, so there's a larger growing segment of autistic kids and then all the other different issues. So you're seeing a larger amount of people that are going to have difficulty interacting as they're now beginning to. Then you have this rise in the red pill that says you have to have 6 figures, 6-pack, 6 feet, whatever, or 6 inches, whatever it is. But this is where the people are like, I've lost the genetic lottery. Now you're having all of these people that are like, well, a lot of the women are looking at those people as who they need to get. And these guys, large amount of guys are getting cut out. So, and then they're already having porn thrown at them at younger and younger ages. This is where this is becoming a problem. So
red pill is making those incels, fueling the rage and resentment of those incels because they'll never have any of those things, and fueling their anger and almost like inciting their anger and violence. Like they're kindling the flames of fire in those people. Because if you're not already 6 feet and you're not naturally attractive, then you'll never have that. And it won't matter if you have money, if that's the case of the standard that you have to go by, because then those other, like, your money won't matter, because if a woman's only going to respect you because you're attractive and 6 foot, then you're screwed. But that's not the case at all. That's stupidity. I mean, Elon Musk is autistic. He's very clearly autistic, and every woman is fighting to have his child after they see what Ashley, whatever her name is.
yeah. So let's bring up another clip of this guy talking about the situation.
But not all incels hate women and subscribe to the extreme end of things. Some go to great lengths to attract them.
I am making some gains.
For Raymond, he's hoping the gym is the answer. In YouTube videos, he talks about his journey to self-improvement, and so far he's had 500,000 views.
Hey guys, what's up? Decline here. I am 30 and still alone.
We're about an hour out of Melbourne and meet Raymond as he heads to the gym.
I go to the gym 6 days a week. I want to build a good amount of muscle and get lean and shredded. It seems that a lot of people have been successful with that. I still haven't had a successful one-on-one encounter with a girl.
Why do you think you've not had much success with women?
Firstly, I'm a very small guy. Like 6 foot guys are a lot more successful. I don't know how to talk to women or anyone.
Up until now, most of the incels that we'd spoken to were virgins, but that's not the case with Raymond.
It has been some time since I had any sexual encounter that was not paid. I met some couples for threesomes, MMF threesomes, and I found them not really fulfilling. Everybody has those same desires to want to feel desired and wanted and loved. I don't subscribe to a lot of the common views of, say, black pill incels. Like, not everything is determined by your genes. These groups, I feel, have kind of hijacked the term.
Raymond is hoping to have changed his luck with women by his mid-30s.
If I haven't succeeded, I'll probably start focusing on other things, maybe just enjoying my life and just rotting, as I say. I'll go back to my video games, start watching anime again, and maybe get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Being 6 foot has nothing to do with it, because shorter men, like, there's a lot of shorter men that are like very attractive in character and personality and visually very attractive. So it's like, it has nothing to do with being 6 feet or not. And I've dated men that were like 6'6", over 6, like very tall. I've dated men that were, average height, shorter than me. I didn't care. A lot of it is the contents of character. There's a lot of guys, most of the guys that I dated that were actually 6'6" or, very tall, they were D-bags. they actually didn't have much of a personality at all, and they had no drive or ambition in a lot of ways. And even if they did, it didn't matter because their character and personality was just garbage. And they thought they could do whatever they want because they were tall. And they thought that that just gave them a pass because they had a genetic lottery of being 6'6" And that's an extremely unattractive thing. Like it's repulsive. Like what men don't understand is that women are more attracted to how that man makes her feel. A woman won't even consider, a man could be very attractive and a woman would not even consider him as an option because she doesn't even know that he is an option. So she's just going around like la 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 la. And then when she finds out like, oh, this guy is an option, he's attractive and he has all these great qualities, but he also considers me, then it's like, oh, okay, this is an option. Because women don't always just go around looking at things like, they don't go around like sometimes premeditating like options the way that men do. They kind of just pass through life like, you know, it's like things, someone said once that things happen to women and men make things happen. And that sounds kind of strange because there are weird women that go and try to like premeditate being with men, but that's, you know, that's very it's not typical. Women wait for the opportunity to present itself and then she's like, oh yeah, this is actually really awesome. And it's the ones that she finds that she gets to know and she actually likes the qualities of that character of that person that stumbles across her. That's the one that she's going to appreciate the most. Women don't tend to deeply respect or love in a very genuine way the man that is just, you know, she instantly sees him out of attraction because she's looking at that guy as like a sex object, or she's looking at him as like a, you know, a tool of some sort to fill a desire, like a fantasy that she has. But she doesn't respect that man because once you've placed somebody on a pedestal like that, all respect goes out the door because now that person in your mind is a servant to you. It's not an authority. Think of like an idol or like a celebrity. People don't respect celebrities. They admire them. They're like obsessed with them. They want to sleep with them. They want to like be all over them. Like, look what they do to Chris Brown. He pays money and they're taking all these disgusting photos with him, like having their body all over him. It's repulsive. That's how women see men who are only like there for the 6 figures, 6 foot and, attractive or whatever else. That's what that is.
We're going to bring back another clip. We listened to this before, but this brings nice context because some of these guys are struggling to get women to talk to them. And then you have guys that come out and promote men to do this.
But why do women use hypergamy to their advantage?
So hypergamy is almost a double-edged sword for them, right? Because thanks to social media and the internet, it's made their hypergamy almost be untethered, right? We used to have things in place to contain hypergamy: religion, shame, the family. All of these things are effectively gone. I call it like the training wheels of society, where we would keep one in place through shame, religion, family, tradition. Now that these things are gone, women could do whatever the hell they want to do. And when you leave women to their own devices, guess what happens? A woman without instruction is headed for destruction. And that's why we have so many single women that can't get married, that we're not having families. The nuclear family is pretty much gone thanks to feminism. So that's what happens when you just allow hypergamy to rear its ugly head the way it's been. And if you look at societies, whether it's different cultures, different societies, different religions, etc., they've all done things to put hypergamy in check. But now these things are gone. And that's kind of where we have this deregulated sexual marketplace now, where things are more up and relationships are up and the nuclear family is dying and all these issues.
At what point in a man's life would you recommend that he starts to pursue a serious relationship?
Ooh, okay. So this is very controversial. But what I always say is a couple of things you want to have in place. 30 years old, bare minimum, making $100K per year, 6 months to 1 year of savings, be in shape. And then the one that always gets people pissed off is have 50 girls or more leg count. Now, the reason for that is because when you have these things in place, you're what I would consider like entry level, higher status or high value male. I hate to use that term, but we'll just use it as a placeholder for the purpose of this video. You're entry level, higher value male.
But do you think that the woman watching would agree with what you're saying now?
Well, it doesn't really matter what they think because women don't really understand what it takes to be a man, right? I always look at women. Women are just consumers. They don't understand what it takes to be a man, what it takes to be attractive as a man. If we pulled any of these girls aside and said, hey, if you were a man, what would you do to be attractive? They'll probably give you some generic advice. Or worse yet, if we told them, hey, walk up to that girl and pretend to be a guy and pull her. She won't know what to say because women just enjoy the end product. They don't know what it takes to make the product, right? You go into a pizza store, right? There's North Italia right there. You go get their margherita pizza. You might eat it and be like, damn, this is some good pizza. But you don't know what the pizza guy in the back had to do to make it taste that way. He had to spin the dough a certain way. He had to put cheese on it. He had to put certain oils on it, whatever it may be, to make it taste a certain way, right? Like, you just enjoy that product, but you don't know what it took to make that pizza. Women are the same exact way.
But would you say that men understand what it takes to be attractive as a woman?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll tell you why. So the burden of performance is on us. If we want to get a girl, we have to do all the work. So we have to actually understand women to attract them. But women don't have to understand men to attract them. And that's the disconnect. And this is something that, I've come to realize from interviewing, almost 3,000 women on my show, is that not only do women not know what it takes to be attractive to men or to care what men want, because they've said this a million times, well, what do men want? They know the generic stuff, but they don't really know the deep stuff. We, on the other hand, have to understand women to attract them. Because if we don't understand women, well, guess what? We don't get laid. We don't get access to sexuality. We don't get a girlfriend, right? But if they don't understand men, they can easily still get a boyfriend, still get a guy to take them seriously, still get a guy to take them. A girl could just sit there silent at a club, and a guy will come in and introduce himself and do all the work. Whereas she won't have to say much. So women have this privilege where they don't have to understand men to attract them, but we absolutely must understand them to attract them.
I'm so glad that clip stopped. I was going to ask you to stop playing it. I couldn't stand listening to him anymore. My ears were physically bleeding. Are we sure these people are not autistic? They're using female rubrics and metrics to determine how to get women. A plus B equals C. If we use this equation, it'll always result in this outcome. Failing to realize that each individual person has a completely different aspect to bring to that equation, and those things might not equal what you're putting forth. You are creating a premeditated calculation for how your end result is going to be with each different person when you don't even know the person and don't have the information to judge if that person is going to operate under that rubric. That's a female mindset.
But they've simplified it because, like he sat down and said, this was manipulated. The whole idea of the hypergamy being the way that it is, and then driving a lot of men out of the place to be higher earners, it puts women in a position where they're only looking at a certain type of man, and then they're allowing this to go out of control, right? And this is pushing these guys off to the side. And then he's saying that these men are saying to go in and run through these women. Well, those women that they're getting run through, a lot of those women think that they have a shot with those men, and they don't.
Yes, but I seen what he said, like the 6 foot and the 6 figures. You could be 6 foot and have 6 figures and still be ugly. Like I will say, like, one of the greatest men that I've ever spoken to, aside from my father, was not 6 feet. Very intelligent man, very kind, very patient, genuine, very intelligent, quite intelligent, has his wits about him, very capable, very strong, not 6 foot. I don't know what his financial status is. I don't care. His financial status could have been like average. I would not care. The dude is amazing, not 6 feet. And it doesn't matter. Like, men don't understand, like, to say that it doesn't matter what women think in regards to what makes a man attractive. That's the woman that wants to sleep with you. Do you realize that when a woman looks at you and she's just looking at 6 foot, 6 figure, and your body count, women, first of all, a lot of women are repulsed by men. If a man came up to me and said, I intentionally went out of my way to collect this body of women, I would be disgusted. I'd be like, where's your critical thinking, bro? Like, women are attracted to men that they can see make their life It's why do men think that women cheat on them when they're super rich and they just look at that rubric? Women will cheat on them with like someone at
Because
work
they're
or someone
told
who
that they
doesn't
just
have.
need the financial security, and that's
That's
what
not
so
it wrong,
many.
yeah.
But you're wiring women, you're putting such a high priority on money. This is what society does, and all the imagery that's going on. They're grooming people to be this way. They are.
Yes, but the women can't keep up with that. The women can't be loyal to money. They can't be loyal to that stuff, which is why they still betray them and cheat on them. They will
Well,
have a side guy.
well, and this is they're creating these problems, but then now you're looking at the way the economy is tanking and everything else like that, and resources are becoming more scarce. So the men that have the resources, they're getting more of the women, and the guys that are locked in that are like these guys here, they're sitting down and they're suffering, right? Let's listen to this. Listen to this. This next clip here.
Tom says he's no longer involved in running the server, but he's still given up on the idea of ever being in a relationship.
I'm rather content now. It's just sort of like a huge like gaping hole in your life and fitting into society, I guess. Having bleak views affects my mental health and many other incels' mental health by making us like much less caring about our future prospects. The community is really the only reason why I stay, and as the situation for young men continues to get worse, it is inevitable that subgroups like incels will grow.
In the next part of our investigation, we look at how much of this online hate can spill out into the real world.
A man obsessed with guns. With an online history of misogyny.
Killed his mother and 4 others.
Having all these violent fantasies, constantly thinking about it, rape, violence, murder.
And their only goal with me was to acquire some kind of sexual encounter.
Yeah. A lot of men, no, God forbid, my son in the future will have a very difficult childhood. I'm sorry. That's all this is telling me. My son will not live an easy childhood, and I will make him earn every compliment, and everything that I give him will be from his earned efforts, and everything that he can trace back to a capability that he has worked hard to gain himself. Nothing will be just because I feel like it or just because I want to give you A for effort. There will be no such thing as A for effort. He will suffer the indignation of his mother. I'm sorry. After seeing this, I'm like, no. Their life was too easy. Their life was too easy, or they didn't get spanked enough. I don't know, like maybe both of them together, because this level of weakness just doesn't make sense. I will not. No, this is no. No. I'm sorry. No.
When you look at this whole situation, like I mean, it's a big problem. Like you're looking at factors on both sides, and this is something that we'll end up discussing more at length, because there's a lot more. This is just kind of scratching the surface to kind of open this up, because it's a big problem, and it what we're seeing is a symptom of a very deep problem. Let's go take a break.
Well, the guy said that he ended up not being as involved anymore because he realized it was affecting his mental health to have such a bleak outlook on life, and affecting the mental health of everyone else too.
Yes. So let's take a short commercial break here, and we'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
So anybody who wants the MyPillow products, go to mypillow.com/Karis or call 800-845-2942, promo code Karis. You can see the Give, Send, Go. There's all the other ways that you can go out and support a good cause. Or if you're watching on Facebook, BitChute, or Rumble, you can see the links in the description. And there's a lot of products that we have for people to support. Again, so we're seeing this whole situation here back again. So let me pull up this other clip here. Where are we at here? So we saw the one of the guy just finishing off the conversation about, giving up on the situation. We know that there was a lot of pornography that was used in this. A lot of people are getting angry and so forth. Children are watching pornography younger, and we're just going to kind of bring back the clip that we've watched before, but it makes more sense in this situation. Keep in mind, while regardless of whether or not somebody sits down and wants to do something, someone else is getting them to do something else, right? And this is something where people have to begin to understand what is actually taking place. And that's what we really, really need to start to look at. Oh, is that the right one? Yeah. So this is really what we need to do. There you go. So we've looked at this here before and so forth, but we need to come back and kind of look at it again, because this applies to what's happening. Because when you're putting the porn in hands of the children, and then you're having these guys having these problems, that person may not have this in their mind, but they're doing this with intent to do something. And it's not this person, because these people don't want these people coming back to come after them. But at the end of the day, they're getting to do stuff, and people who are creating this stuff are making sure it gets in the hands of children.
Yeah, it's been really incredible to see women like you taking, this message and using, porn as a platform for it, which is just so different. I mean, porn before was always, this dirty, seedy underbelly of media, and, it was just to get guys hard and that's it. But now it's like it's become so much more complex, and there's a message behind it now, and it's just like it's evolved into something so much bigger than just porn, and it's been such an exciting thing to witness.
Yeah, and I mean, pretty much everybody watches porn, so it is actually a very powerful platform.
Yes.
And it's also powerful because when people are watching porn, they're often masturbating, and when you're masturbating and you receive messages when you're in that pleasure zone, it's a it can kind of seep in, and
because it is an intimate, vulnerable time, right? I mean, people always privately, well, not everybody, but you know what I'm saying? It's like a private moment where you lock your bedroom door and you put on headphones or whatever, your roommates hear, God forbid, your mom to walk in or something like that. So it is this private, intimate moment. So yeah, I could see how it is this vulnerable time that you could be, giving people not only pleasure, but, I don't want to say teaching them a morality lesson, but there's almost something to that there.
The way I see it is more giving them the opportunity to think of, giving the opportunity to see different ways of being, or different ways of exploring their sexuality, different ways of experiencing the world, different ways of interacting with people. So even if it's for example, I've had fans that have been following me since 2003, fans that, just started following me because they like big breasts, never expecting that I would do a trans scene. And now, because they followed me through this time, they may have never expected to enjoy watching a trans scene themselves, but because they're my fan, they've committed to watching the movie, and then suddenly they watch it and, wow, They're
Yeah.
exposed to a different, a different kind of sex that they end up enjoying. I like that there's this, in that vulnerable space where you're masturbating, you're open to new ideas, and it's in the privacy mostly of your own home. And so, yeah, I like being exposed to myself. I like being exposed to different ideas and different ways of being, and I hope that my fans do too.
Have you had any feedback from?
Okay, imagine that, what you're saying, because there are companies like Pornhub that were making this accessible to children. Now imagine those angry young kids that say they were watching porn from the age of 9 years old, and they're having people that are basically trying to teach them something that they were trying to do something to an adult, but you're doing this to a child. And then they're realizing that they're already not going to be getting what they want or the attention from women, and they've already been fixated on pornography for the last 6 years of their life, and they're 15. And then they get older, and they're going to get angrier, and they're going to go further and further and further, because they don't know, like Lily Phillips says, I don't know life without porn. What do you think it's going to do to those boys? Right?
Yeah, that's technically and that woman, Angela White, is terrifying, I'm not gonna lie. Functionally and practically, not physically. That would be gay. But yeah, most people my age were introduced to it about that age, like 11. I think that's like grade 3 or grade 4, when we first had sexual education, and we had like the cartoon videos of that, that stuff. And anyways, at that point, yeah, most kids, like, they had, like, most people in my generation, they had it since that age. So it's like that was just normal. So it's something that's probably been groomed into their mentality, that they're very desensitized to, and kind of like nonchalant about, like, yeah, okay, well, whatever, like.
Yeah. So this is where, we need to start looking at situations in a very different light, and start looking at the whole circumstance around what's going on. Because a lot of these people that are doing this, they're not looking to go ahead and put this in the hands of 9-year-old children, but it's getting there. Regardless of whatever you think of this or not, this isn't the issue. The thing is that the issue is that someone is taking things of these women and men that are in this industry, and they're pushing it into the hands of children deliberately. Right? Say what you'd like about what those people are doing, and something that I'm not a fan of, but I don't hate these people or anything else, but people are going after the people. The people that are putting the stuff in the hands of children are not these people. They're not going out and handing it out to children, but there are people who are doing it. And a lot of these companies are using these men and women in these situations. A lot of the women, obviously, because of market to the boys, to go and push this into the hands of children so that they can go and instruct children. Right? This is a big problem, because people are creating the circumstances for more of these incels to come. This is not random.
Yeah, and a lot of men today, they don't understand. Like he said, when that, I think the guy's Jamaican. I don't know. He sounds Jamaican, or seems Jamaican to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was interviewing Myron, when he was asking, does women opinion matter on what they like and stuff? And he said no, because men think like that. They're completely delusional about women's interest or not. Because someone today asked if I was gay when I was in Washington with Jen today. And someone thought that Jen and I were dating just because I was neutral in conversation with him, and I was happy-go-lucky in my conversation with her. Like, I'm a very monotone, neutral person, but she's kind of like a really happy-go-lucky person, and we were just interacting well. But because I had boundaries with him, he thought I was gay. Like men today have no, and I was like, when I went to the bathroom, he asked her if I was gay. And if we were together. And I was like, because I have boundaries, like men today have no clue.
That
Like
speak
they're so used to women having no boundaries
that
that when women actually do have boundaries, they're like, oh, she doesn't like me. She must be gay.
that's exactly the whole point. They're getting a lot of women with boundaries, and then they're changing the way that the men
Yeah.
that they're attracted to, and so they're giving them this thing, and then they're telling them that you deserve everything and that you could do whatever you want. And so a lot of these girls that are like, I mean, not even attractive as some of those guys that we saw in the incel thing, they want the most attractive men, and they're trying to go after them and thinking that that might be the case. And this is like, I mean, this is making an unrealistic set of circumstances. But I want to come back to the situation. You'll understand after this conversation, like this clip here, why certain women they use in these situations, unbeknownst to themselves. Because if the women understood what they were doing, they wouldn't be doing it. And they ended up finding out later. But this is why, like a woman like, for example, Angela White and all these other women, they're using them because of this. And when Lisa Ann said this made a lot of sense.
What is your greatest passion in life and why? Much love and respect. Keep up the awesome work. Lawrence. What is your greatest passion in life and why? Lawrence, this may be one of the best podcast questions I've ever gotten. Because when I was learning and developing this different sense of understanding people and things, what I learned was intelligent people would ask people, what are you passionate about, over asking them, what do you do for a living? They ask them deliberate questions. This is a deliberate question. And the reason I wanted to answer it is because I had an answer immediately as soon as I saw it. When I see an email and I'm like, my greatest passion in life and why? My greatest passion in life is to communicate. And that's just one small word. But take that around the globe, okay? And take that as big as you can see it. Because by me communicating, whether it was at one time, I communicated by dancing on stage. At another time, I communicated by shooting photos and making movies and knowing that I was going to be out to the world. I communicate here on my podcast. I communicate here on my radio shows. I communicate on my social media. So communication was the word that came to me right away. So why overthink it? Why think, no, that can't be it? So I actually sat for 15 minutes, Lawrence, and I was like, how could you explain what you mean by your greatest passion is to communicate? I can only explain it by the way of living my life to the fullest amount of interactions with people, human experience. That's communication. Storytelling, that's communication. Making time for work colleagues to expand something, that's communication. My entire existence is really truly based on one thing. It's communicating. And as simple as that is, I'm passionate about it because it makes me happy, because it keeps me open-minded, keeps me vibrant, keeps me from aging, keeps me understanding generations, old, young, new, old. Like, it keeps me learning and growing. Because when you're communicating all the time, you got to have shit to say. So you're constantly listening to other people communicate, and you find yourself really finding pleasure in how someone tells a story, or how someone, McAfee, if you're a McAfee fan, you know the vibe you feel when you watch the show, when he is communicating with us, when they are in the room communicating with each other, we feel this energy. You could be having a bad day at work and they make you laugh. You look forward to it. I look forward to giving that. I also look forward to receiving it. I appreciate it from others, but my entire being has somehow been quietly about communication. And when I get to travel the world and go to these events, like I was just in Switzerland for Extasia, I get to communicate with people that I never even knew that I would see in real life, that I would, maybe I talk to them on Twitter, but I never knew we'd cross paths and shake hands and hug. So that level of shared experience is another way I'm defining communication. I love to be present in the actual moment we're living and be talking about it. I love that when I go on this vacation, my girlfriend and I will literally just talk every day, all day. It's me, her, and her husband. They're my two favorite people in the world. They're my longest term best friends. They're like family to me. They're like brother and sister. They're like best friends. Like they're everything, and they're my favorite two humans in the world for almost 30 years now. And I look forward to just like, I'll sit on, we'll shoot the fat. We're all Dallas Cowboys fans. We'll talk, we'll tell stories. I'm bringing all my photos from my trip so we can go through them. But yeah, that's a great question, because obviously if I didn't love to communicate, I might have an office job where I was more behind a computer. I might be doing anything than all the things that I've somehow navigated myself to do. They've all stemmed from communication. So, Lawrence, that was a real thinker and I loved it. But as soon as I saw it, the word communication came to my mind. My greatest passion is sharing myself in the present moment by communicating. And it could be body language, it can be talking, it could be telling a story.
That is why they use women. You look at the fact that women, you go across communications, you go in business, women dominate that field because women are natural communicators. They're biologically designed to do that. They're good, very good at transmitting information from one person to another because they're designed to transmit information from the husband to the children, from one child to the next. They have to be very good communicators in that way. But what people don't realize, and when she talks about when she was on the pole, when she was a dancer, she would communicate through that. And when she's doing her movies the same way that Angela White talked about it. But there's a bunch of men that are sitting up in office towers that are taking what she was doing and what, say, Angela White and all these other women are doing, and they're using that desire to communicate so that they can go and instruct other people that these women don't want to be instructed. I'm sure some of them that are warped, like, I mean, that you see these younger girls that are completely just, they're like, their brains are cooked because they were watching pornography since they're kids. They don't, their sense of moral compass has gone way off kilter because it's been erased, because people designed that to be that way by pushing this in and allowing them to communicate those ideas to people that don't have a chance when they put that situation into the children. Right? Like where Pornhub, they had like 90% of the market share. And then they started to drive this pedophilia and making sure that it got into the hands of children. And then you're wondering why you're seeing a rise of incels?
Yeah, these incels need to understand that women are attracted to men that create circumstances. When you said that women are supposed to get the information from their husband and translate and communicate that information from the husband to the children and other people, women love men like that. Women, when they see men like that, they're attracted to that. That has nothing to do with a man's money, his height, or even his visual. He could be an average looking guy, and if she comes across a guy like that, she'll be happy. Now, I've come across like a guy like that, and he does things and says things where I'm just like, oh, whoa, like, and I learn from it, and I'm able to use it in real time in other problems. I've not really met very many men like that in my lifetime. And I don't think there's very many in this generation of people, because of what you're describing right now, how they've kind of like, they've really destroyed a lot of men's natural tendencies, but women are attracted to that. Obviously you have to be visually attracted to somebody, of course. And yes, that's fine. I'm just saying that the main thing that keeps a woman loyal and keeps her retention and her captivity of her mind and her emotions is when she sees that man is able to give her knowledge and information and teach her and she sees the impact of that knowledge on her life and how she can translate that to help others, because women love communication. I'm like Lisa Ann that way. I love communication and sharing things with people, and I'm better at doing that when I listen to this guy's information. It's incredible. It's like, it's the best feeling in the world. I don't know how to describe it. So that's literally mostly what men just need to do.
Yes, but they created feminism played a large part in doing this to start pushing men back on their heels, and they used women to do this, right? And some women were like, okay, well, I want this, this, and this, and they felt to the moment. But as they were progressing, the people that were pushing this agenda that were men, they understood where this was going. There was a lot of people that pre-planned this. You look at the way that the government is working and how the government has put in structure into places to disadvantage men in a lot of situations. Laws are structured for men. If they get out of line, they're going to get punished. There's no if, ands, or buts. And it's very skewed in a lot of ways. And then now you have this whole idea where more women are going into school. They're starting to make more money in a lot of areas. Then they want to have the guys that are above them, so that the people at the bottom are being left behind and so forth. And then they're like being told that they have to have this genetic lottery that they need to have, that you need to be 6 feet, have a six pack, six figures. Then the media is just blasting this out. These guys are getting their confidence destroyed while they're going in schools. They're having everything broken down. And then they get these women that are exceptionally good at communicating ideas, and even in the pornography, and then they're placing it in the hands of children that are going to be completely wiped out. And then they're going to start going further and further because a child can't handle that. And the people who are doing this understand this, because even those places are putting out children being raped and normalizing this type of behavior and putting rape on these things in the hands of children. Yeah. So if these kids are viewing this kind of thing and they're already knowing that didn't win the genetic lottery, they're not getting the attention of the women are going after these men, that they're being told that these are the kinds of men that they need. What do you think is going to happen to those guys?
What's going to happen? Sorry.
Well, those guys are just getting, that's why you're seeing these guys getting violent and snapping.
Yeah. Killed his mom, the one guy, and his four siblings, sisters, or whatever. That was crazy. Like in the video that you showed.
And then when you have a guy like this that goes into, like, his OnlyFans gives the platform itself, gives people more access to these women. A lot of these guys will go out and spend all this money, right? In a way, and they have an unnatural access. And so these guys are having a one-way relationship with this person thing, and then they go and they talk to them. Then they just brush them off, who they are, because they got some guy in India or whoever the place is that are running this service while they're sleeping, and people are getting talked to. And then they're like, I just spent like $100,000 doing this, and you just brush me off like I'm chopped liver. And then he's already weak. And then he stops. Right? This is where people are not looking at the way that internet changed these things. And they're putting out these things. They're like, oh yes, you're going to make more bank. But he's like, do you know what the impact of these things are going to be? Because nobody, when they started the pornography, thought that this was going to be this way. Most of the people, but there were other people that did. And I guarantee you, those were men. Because the way a lot of those things are being used, they're being used in unintended ways, and people deliberately did this. And laws were constructed that allowed this to happen. This is why this is a situation. If the women think they're going to win this all by themselves, not going to happen. No, and the women got to work together on this one. That's really the whole point.
Yeah. That's why, like, people, I told someone today, like, respectfully, don't hand me over to women. I'm sorry. If you want to do something to help, give me access to the men. so that they can do certain things with my dad, because I was like, women, we're not going to pull ourselves out of this. And putting a bunch of women to work together to deal with something is not going to solve the issue, like straight up and down.
Look,
men need to, yeah.
Like I sit down and say, Lisa has one. She's an extremely intelligent woman, very intelligent.
Yeah, very.
And she was in that sort of industry. She's like, I didn't see this coming, and I'm a forward thinking person. And I'm like, you didn't see it coming because those types of things were set out by men, and they knew what they were doing, and this is how they actually put disadvantaged women and put them in bad positions. And she thought one thing while they were creating the circumstances for something completely different.
Yeah.
Right? And then when she saw it, she's like, I didn't sign up for this. But that's what men do. They shouldn't be doing this in a wrong manner. They should be doing this that when you saw the danger, they're like, all right, I took care of it. And you know that you're safe. But when they're doing this, they're going ahead and using that what they should be doing to take care of the danger, to lay traps for other people and use people in ways that by the time they see it, the damage is already done.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's why the women need men that are gonna like communicate to them, and they communicate that to the other people, because it's stuff they would have never seen. But women are so good at communicating that they can relate information to people in a way that they understand across a variety of different personalities, characters, and things, because they're meant to raise children with a bunch of different varieties of characters and personalities, and match all of them.
And they can bring it across to other women in a way that'll make sense to them.
Yes, and this is also why this is the most important trait for men to have, because when women see that a man has that, she will see the value in working together with him as a team. She'll typically have a passion of communicating and helping people in that way, and she'll see how his capability to do that will aid her in what she likes to do as well. Like I said, that it's a very rare thing to come across, and I've not seen very many in my life outside of my dad and this one other guy. Like, I just,
Yes.
women need that. That's what they like.
We got to close. We're running up here on time, so I'll close here with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you've given us, and help of men that we would come together and humble ourselves before God. And Lord, that we would work with the women to rebuild our families, our community, and our nation, that we could protect our children and help to stop this situation is my prayer. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Star, for the prayer as always. We pretty much need to, just double down on whatever my dad said, because I'm not a man. I don't know how to, but the point is, men can be creating circumstances for success and working together with women to spread that message to people in the way that they understand, especially to other women. That's very important. Women, do your best to look for men who will create the circumstances for your success, and you can see them doing that in your everyday life, and the things that they teach you, you can apply it to your life, and you can use that to help people in the ways that you're passionate about. Finding a man like that is the most valuable thing on the planet. You will not find that in a man that simply just has 6 feet, 6 figures, and 50 lays, 50 women they've slept with. Find a man that actually has value in his mind, his character, his personality. Sure, you could be attracted to him. That's important. It's important to me too. But the man that has that capability, that genuine kindness, that genuine purpose and drive, that's what's important. Look for that. So anyways, I hope you guys have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Keep your spirits up. Focus on what you can do to maintain peace and prosperity in your life and those around you. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. And to my dearest Karis, until we meet again, my friend. And we will. Ciao.